Hey, this is Ms. Gergen here. We are going over the 2004 released SOL for Algebra 1, taking a look at it question by question. And these are also accessible on the IQ Pocosin website. All right, first question that we'll look at is question number 1 on both. The directions say to look at the graph function shown. And as we can see, that shape is called a parabola. Parabolas can open up and they can open down. It all depends on the leading coefficient of the x squared term. If the x squared term is negative, it's going to open down. Not something we see a lot of in Algebra 1. Now, back to the problem at hand. They say based on the zeros, which best represents the graph function? Well, they're trying to throw you off with vocabulary here. The word zeros is the same thing as an x-intercept. They're also called roots. And in either lingo, they're the point where the parabola crosses the x-axis. In this case, there are two of them. We have a 0 or a root at x equals 1, and we have a 0 or a root at x equals positive 3. Now, the directions say based on the zeros, what best represents the graph function. If you take a look at your answer choices, these are all in what we call factored form. And all this means is that if you were to FOIL or double distribute or use the box method on these problems, it's going to create that normal quadratic function that we look at. But there's a really handy relationship between roots or zeros and factored form. In fact, they're opposites. In order to move something from factored form to a 0, you set it equal to 0 and solve. To move it the other way, if I have x equals 1 and I want to make it equal to 0, what would I have to do to the 1? Well, I'd have to subtract it from both sides in order to turn this function equal to 0. So I'm left with x minus 1 equals 0. Well, that is factored form. So my answer has to have an x minus 1 in it. So right off the bat, I know I can get rid of A. I know I can get rid of C. Let's see what our other factor is here. Our other 0 was x equals 3. So again, I want to make that equal 0, so I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and I end up with x minus 3 equals 0. There is my other factor. So looking at my two options that are left, the only thing that has an x minus 3 in addition to an x minus 1 has got to be B. Well, B in our case. But you'll notice it has this 2 out here in front. When you factor in factored form, you can always take out a GCF if possible. That GCF is a direct relationship to the vertex or the bottom or top of your graph, something you guys will talk a little bit more about in Algebra 2. All right, that's it for question number 1. Thank you so much.